Welcome to Equipped for Impact, the podcast designed to assist Christian parents, leaders, and educators to raise up the next generation to stand firm in their faith and influence the world for Christ. We're your hosts. I'm Nate.
And I'm Lewis.
And we are glad you're here with us today. Normally, we focus these episodes on you all as parents and how you can be equipped to disciple your own children, but we're deviating slightly from that today because one of the greatest blessings in God's design for the family is the role that grandparents play in the discipleship of the next generation. The Bible paints a very rich, multi-generational picture of faith being passed down from one generation to the next. In fact, in Psalm 78, it says, "He commanded our fathers to teach their children that the next generation might know them, the children yet unborn." So, with it being close to Grandparents' Day, we invited some guests here to join us. Since, Lewis, we are not grandparents.
Not yet.
No, we're a ways off from that.
We are. Hopefully we are, right? Like, that's the plan anyway.
That is the plan. We are still a ways off from that. So we're going to introduce our guests here. We are actually joined by a couple, some great grandparents that I know pretty well.
Are you biased?
I am very biased because these are actually my parents.
They are.
But Ray and Bev are joining us today. So Mom and Dad, say hey to everybody for us.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Glad to be here.
And just to be clear, this is the mom that you've referenced in multiple podcast episodes.
I have.
That used to drink her coffee in the morning. Still does the spoon.
Do you still stir your coffee incessantly?
Incessantly. I'm not sure if I agree with that. And I try to leave my spoon in the kitchen now so I won't be, distracted or distracting.
But now that no one else except Dad is in the house with you.
I've also been known to stir my coffee with a crochet hook if I need to.
There we go. The next level.
But it made an impact on you.
That's right.
And you've talked about it multiple times on how
this podcast.
Yes, on how how you knew your mom had done her quiet time because it was a daily routine. And so now that we talk about biblical grandparenting and just how they intentionally disciple grandchildren, they may not be stirring the spoon in the coffee mug, but they're doing things that are impacting their grandchildren. And so grandparents are here to disciple their grandchildren, support their adult children, but also to leave a legacy that hopefully points their families to Christ.
Yep. And so we don't know what we're talking about, which is why we have you two in here, because you do. Real quick, just give us a quick, how many children and grandchildren, because that's part of the grandparenting resume.
We have 3 sons, and those 3 sons have given us 15 grandchildren.
15 grandchildren. There you go. And I only have 2, so that tells you that it's skewed in the ratio of grandchildren to children in this family. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in here. We just want to get some wisdom from you all. So when you guys think about your role as grandparents, like I read to start us off from Psalm 78, what other passages or biblical principles have really shaped your guys' understanding as your role as grandparents?
As I looked at it earlier this week, there's lots in the Bible about grandparents. But the cool thing is there's no specific job description, which gives you a lot of freedom, which means that no 2 grandparents are going to grandparent exactly alike. Some grandparents are still working full time, some are not, some are more available. Some families need the childcare part of grandparenting more. But the scriptures, most of the grandparenting, the ones that actually mention specifically children's children or grandparents or something like that, are talking about the blessing it is to the grandparent. And the rest of the passages are talking about the older generation, which you may or may not have grandchildren if you're older or more mature, whatever older means. But the responsibility involved with that maturity level or that age level is to pass on I think the Psalms describes it as the glorious deeds of the Lord, his power and the wonders he has done. So I feel like that's my job. And there's lots of different ways to do that. The New Testament passage that I thought of is the specific for me as a grandma, older women teaching younger women.
Yep.
If God gives me granddaughters,
Which you had several.
That's a ready-made, I don't know, discipleship group,
Yep.
however you want to put it that way. Teach the young women, whether they're 4 or 14 or 40, how to love their husbands well, what their role is in the home, the importance of the home. I feel like that's a grandmother responsibility that, even though it doesn't say grandmother. So, and I mean, it is a huge blessing.
Good.
It's a huge blessing both ways, right? So
Right.
you are blessed by it, but then you also get to be a blessing in the lives of, in your case, your daughters-in-laws, but also now your granddaughters as well. And so, research over and over continues to show that parents are influential in the lives of their children, but right behind them are grandparents, right? So grandparents have a huge influence in the lives of children, more so than school, more so than a church program, more so than anything else that is intentionally shaping them. Parents first, grandparents second. So, yeah.
Dad, any other thoughts to add to that?
Well, as I was thinking through it, the verses that came to mind, I believe that grandparenting is not a lot different than just what we've been commanded to do as Christians. I mean, it in the Old Testament it talks about sharing biblical principles with your children, as whether you're walking by the way or lying down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's pretty much everything that you do in life. But then I was also thinking of 2 Timothy 2:2, the things that you've heard of me from faithful men, share with faithful men. And I think just like with parents to their children, they need to disciple them and help them to grow spiritually. And of course, the Great Commission, first of all, making disciples and then teaching them to observe all things, that continues on with grandchildren and to the best of your ability. And it's parenting is a on-the-job training program. Grandparenting is too. Sometimes with grandparenting, you look back and you see some of the mistakes you made as a parent, and you say, "Okay, good. I've got another chance." The Lord spared us with our children, and gave us a second chance to do what's right with our grandchildren, and so it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and I mean the classic verse of the gray hair is a crown of wisdom, right? And so I don't know if you're listening to this as a grandparent whether you have that gray hair or not, but it's the wisdom that can be passed on to us, and so us as parents can listen and receive that wisdom. And so it's helpful for us there with that.
And even if you're hiding your gray hair, because some people hide their gray hair.
It's true, they do hide their gray hair.
So it's underneath there. You can pass that on still.
Mine, half of my hair is falling out, and the other half is afraid it's going to fall out, so it turns gray. Yeah, that's what's going on right now. So
I've shared the verse about gray hair is the glory of old men, and bald-headed men don't appreciate that much
because they don't have the crown, the glory. Right. Oh, good stuff. So think about your or our family story, right? And how have you seen the influence of grandparents, either in your own upbringing, or maybe now as you invest in your grandkids, my kids, my nieces and nephews, how has the family story really influenced the way you approach grandparenting?
Well, it was super interesting for us because at the beginning of our parenting, we lived within a few miles of both sets of grandparents, which meant that our children had the benefit of a really close relationship with both sets of grandparents. Actually, Ray's mom helped us because both of us worked, so she provided childcare. You guys never had to go to daycare or
Yep.
anything because she was actually a hands-on, everyday type of grandma. And then my parents
Including
lived,
spankings, just so you know. Like, that's a key point there.
including
I remember
spankings. That's right.
several.
And my parents lived right up the hill. Our kids could ride their bikes there. Well, that all changed when God called us to North Carolina. And then we moved 7 hours away from the grandparents. Our kids at that point maybe had taken the closeness of their grandparents for granted. And when we moved, we and they realized how blessed we were to have that close proximity and that investment. And even to this day, as they are adults, they're still close to their grandparents, and their children actually have gotten to know and love the great grandparents.
That's awesome. That's
So it's a huge benefit, and the distance thing makes it more difficult. But having been close when they were young built the relationship in the beginning, so it was able to be maintained.
Yeah. And we're going to kind of jump ahead of what we planned a little bit here because you brought up the distance, right? And so there was that distance from when we moved away from my grandparents, right? And your grandkids are spread coast to coast in the United States. So how do you handle something like that? Because the listener listening to this may be in a situation where they're not in close proximity to their grandparents. So like how do you handle intentionally investing in grandchildren when you can't see them every week?
Well, FaceTime's a wonderful thing. As you said, we have two close by. One son has 10 in the middle part of the country.
There, he skews the ratio.
and then the other son has 3 all the way over on the West Coast. So that's probably the hardest on the West Coast because of the time difference. When they're available to FaceTime, we're getting ready for bed a lot of times. And when we're ready in the morning, they're not out of bed yet. So that can be a problem. But with those in the middle part of the country, we FaceTime as often as we can. That son and his wife, obviously with 10 children and jobs, they are extremely busy. So we leave it up to them to initiate the FaceTime calls. But when we're on those, we try to ask, okay, what's your favorite thing in school right now, or how's school going, or how was math, or what are you reading? What are you reading for fun? Because I'm a little bit of a history buff, I tend to try to pass along some things like that. Probably they're not as interested as I hope they would be, but boring granddad, that's fine.
But if you're on FaceTime, you can see if their eyes are glazing over.
Right, exactly right. And then we visit as often as we can, but we do try to keep up, with 15 to keep up with. Almost every month has a birthday in it, and sometimes 2 or 3 birthdays in them. So we try to keep up and in advance find out what they want, what they need, and think through if they were close, what we would do for them.
Yeah. Do you guys ever get everybody together? Like, is there a time that everybody comes together? I mean, that's got to be a huge family gathering, right?
It is, and we had grand goals back when our boys first got married and started having children. We decided that, I mean, you have to share your kids because the daughter-in-laws also have families and parents who want to grandparent, which is a blessing for them. But we started out with a grand goal of every other Christmas we were going to get everyone together. So we did that for a few years, and we would rent a big house or whatever, but it has gotten increasingly more difficult as they've gotten older. We've got some dreams and plans about maybe being able to get together for summer vacation or something in the future, but for a few years, it's just travel has been difficult because of, traveling with 10 children is hard, but man, cousin relationships, grandparents love to see that stuff too. To see the cousin thing going on.
And that's actually really, a really good example, because what it shows here is the realness of, both you and Ray have served in ministry. You've discipled your children. You've brought them up. You had great plans of trying to get everybody together. And so what would you say to that grandparent that might feel discouraged because maybe they come from a broken home? We know that in our situations now, you might have split homes. And so you have, mom, dad aren't together. So, but maybe also grandparents aren't together, and so they might be thinking, well, you guys have some great stories, some great examples, but that's not my family, right? My family didn't grow up close to, or, my family doesn't serve in ministry, or my family doesn't have that closeness. How would you guys encourage a parent that might be listening, or even a grandparent that's listening, that's thinking like, well, that's just not my situation. So.
And everybody's different. And I think that it kind of goes back to God didn't give us in Scripture any specific job description for grandparenting. Everybody's is going to look different.
And I would also say, in situations like that, we're far from perfect family or perfect grandparents, and I don't. Perfect is unattainable, but do what you can. Do what you can. Even little baby steps in the direction of trying to disciple, trying to teach, trying to get together, fellowship, all of those things as what you can. Like, as I said, FaceTime's a wonderful thing, and when we can FaceTime and get caught up, and I'll tell you, when you FaceTime, when there's 10 grandchildren.
It's a little wild.
It's a little wild, and a lot of times what you're doing is you're just sitting there listening. There's nothing.
Another thing that we do with, especially the family with the 10 children, which gets a little hard to keep up with, is old-fashioned letters.
Oh yeah.
Those kids love to get mail with their name on it. So we'll write to them. Their parents, they like to write back to us, but their parents will even include, because they're homeschooled, so their parents will include it as a part of a school assignment for handwriting and stuff. And they'll write us back, and they'll ask us questions, and they want us to tell them jokes. So you got to have a joke in the letter.
So it runs in the family, just so you know.
Run in the family.
It runs in the family.
Makes sense.
You can, and I don't know very many jokes, but I do know how to Google. So I can find
And you
joke.
do know how to use ChatGPT.
I do now.
And you have a son that has a joke, right?
Usually. Why'd you put me on the spot like that?
I'm just saying,
We're here in the presence of the master, and you ask me for a joke? What is They're pointing fingers at each other. It's a good thing this is not a video podcast.
There's not a iPhone or iPad big enough, though, to fit 10 grandchildren on the screen, is there?
They have to take turns.
They pass it around, walk around the house.
They do.
And the younger they are, the more that they try to get very close. They love to see themselves on the screen. So they get real close, looking at themselves, not realizing that we really can't see them. We can see, one eye
That's awesome.
Both of my girls, their grandmothers are here locally, so they're close by, and so but even as they were growing up, they would love to FaceTime them, and so I remember my oldest daughter, she would walk around with the iPad, and her abuela was just 5 minutes down the road, but she loved to FaceTime her as she was coming up, and my mom doesn't speak English as clearly as we do, but she speaks it, so it was interesting to see them, talk. But one of my favorite memories is my mom makes tamales. Actually, probably some of the best tamales in the world.
That's tamales for those of us that
for those
don't
of you
speak
from
Spanish.
Eastern North Carolina. That's right.
Some of those tamales.
And so there was a time when my mom would make them that my girls enjoyed going over there and seeing them being made and help her, right? And so they were able to pass down some traditions from my mom. And so what are some traditions that you guys have been able to pass down to your grandchildren, either the ones that are here close by to you, but also even like those long distance ones? So staying on that topic of how do you grandparent close by, but also how do you grandparent from a distance?
So this is a hilarious admission, all right? So
I'm afraid of what she's about to say. Just so you know.
None of this is scripted, by the way.
Yeah, it's not.
both of our granddaughters, both of them are girls, the ones that are local. So my activities with them are baking, cooking. One of them has started actually learning how to crochet a little bit.
So cool.
But they also spend a ton of time with their granddad, outdoor work, because I do not do outdoor work.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you don't mow your own grass.
I don't know. She pointed at me, actually. I mean,
She is a listener. For those of you out there that
I do listen.
she knows he does not
I
like
know.
breakfast for dinner, and he does not mow his own grass.
That's right.
I don't do yard work.
Yeah.
So tell them what your latest project was with the girls.
We've had some yard issues with grass dying and that type of thing, and so I've they at the beginning of this past summer, one of them asked if they could if I had something outside that they could do to earn some money.
Oh,
and
There we go. Putting them to work.
Good
and
raising.
so
There you go.
so
And they know that granddad pays better than dad does.
Granddad's pay scale is much better than a dad's pay scale. So my son found out that he'd been ripped off all these years. But I'd buy some, believe it or not, some grass plugs on Amazon and have them shipped in and keep them watered until they could make it there. And we went outside, and one of them I'd dig the hole or punch the hole, and one of them would get it out of the tray, and the other one would put it in the hole, and we'd water it, and they got paid very well for that.
They got paid, just so you know, they got paid as much in that one afternoon as I normally got for an entire month of mowing the grass.
Wow.
Wow. That I'm not bitter though. Inflation. We'll just call it inflation. That's what it is.
To throw back to our slang, it sounds like you might be salty.
Am I salty?
You might be salty.
Well, I wasn't. What is it? Bread? We weren't bringing bread.
You
we
weren't-
weren't getting bread.
you weren't getting
Yeah,
bread.
that's what it was. Oh my goodness, that was last episode. You can go back to episode 27 and listen to our slang episode. But
I also think it's really, really important for grandparents to instill the value of having breakfast for dinner. At
there we
least
go, there
every
we go.
once in a while.
I do feel like I'm being ganged up on here. I do feel like
I brought back up.
I guess it makes sense, right? Like they pass the tradition
That's
on
exactly
to you.
right.
I'm
It's
hoping
the legacy.
I'm hoping that maybe it ends with you, and your girls learn better. Neither of my girls do breakfast for dinner, and somebody asked them recently about it, and they politely made they declined it. So,
It actually, I asked them recently.
Was it you?
It was
Okay,
me.
okay, yeah.
It was an intentional joking. Speaking of passing the baton, okay, so just specifically the baton of faith, when the children are not living in your household, with those small touches throughout the week or FaceTime calls, whatever it is, what does that look like? The passing the baton of faith look like for a grandparent? They're thinking.
Everyday conversation.
Yeah.
the girls learning how when I'm so blessed because I get to see the girls almost every day and I can see their daily struggles. Can we pray about that? Whatever it is. It might not, and it's not going to be a long pastoral prayer. It's going to be a real prayer in the moment kind of thing, praying together. I get to sit with them in church and to have your children, grandchildren sitting with you in church and seeing that you value worship together as a family. You value the preaching of the word. I take notes. They see me doing that. There's just all kinds of opportunities. And the beauty of it is it doesn't have to be scripted. It's many things you can't plan ahead for because you don't know what their day is going to be like. You don't know what your conversation is going to be like. And you don't know what they're going to feel comfortable sharing with you.
Yep.
They may not feel, they may rather talk to their mom about something, but then something may come up. And if God helps me, I'll be able to talk to them about whatever issue it is. And it doesn't have to be a long, involved, deep conversation. It can just be a little response to something. So
That's good.
It also has to do with Christianity. Your spirituality is just part of your life, and as you, as Bev said, as you're sitting in church and hearing the message, or as you're talking about the message after church, or out in the yard planting grass, and we talk about God, and they ask questions. Well, what is this thing? I remember they asked these little things that were in the yard, and I had to actually kind of Google it because I didn't know what it was. And it was a male pine cone, which I didn't know there was such a thing. But we talk about how God, that's the way God created things, and then and of course the distance, you struggle with that, but they're excited to tell you that they've been saved, or they're getting baptized, or something of that nature, and you just rejoice along with them that they understand that you think that that's important too.
That's awesome. It's really good. So as we kind of wrap up here, for the parents or grandparents listening to this, what's some last just encouragement you guys would give them in this whole idea of grandparenting and passing the baton of faith?
it doesn't have to be complicated. God already gave you a love for these littles and biggers. Even when they get up to be teenagers and such, God gave you a heart for them for a reason. And God put you in the spot you are for a reason. And God is sovereign, and his plan overarches all, and just follow his leading. Take advantage of the opportunities. Doesn't have to be complicated. I feel like, you know what? They don't have to love every second with me if they later on remember a nugget of something that we did together.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about me or our relationship. It just needs to be whatever God wants me to pass along to them.
And I would say just enjoy the ride and enjoy having them around. We enjoyed every stage of our sons' lives, and missed some of them as they passed, but missed as in we kind of wish they were back, but not missed as we were gone, but enjoy the ride, enjoy watching them grow, enjoy their world expanding, and do the best you can to pass along a legacy of loving the Lord and sharing his word.
Lots of prayer.
Lots of prayer.
It's also really easy to pray for your grandchildren. You see them struggling. It's the most natural thing in the world, and I think that's a huge part of our role too, is to pray for them and our kiddos, our kids. Well, we're glad that we don't have to make some of the decisions that our children are having to make now. So we pray a lot for them, for wisdom and what they're putting into their children's lives, wisdom to make those choices and about, the tech that we never had to deal with when our kids were little, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
So
it's encouraging, and it's a powerful reminder that God's plan for discipleship, it's multi-generational, right? We see it. I'm reminded of what Paul told Timothy, right? He referenced his mother and his grandmother.
Yep.
And so whether you're a grandparent, whether you're a parent, whether you're listening to this and you're a future parent, we want to remind you that your influence can help anchor your family in truth. And ultimately, the goal is to point them to Christ. So whether you're a parent, grandparent, or future parent, you're pointing them to Christ.
That's right. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Ray and Bev, Mom and Dad, for taking some time to hang out with us and give some wisdom to some younger guys. It's nice where we get to say that we're the younger ones.
We are the younger ones.
Because normally we're not when we're talking about this episode. But if you guys enjoyed today's episode, would you mind taking a moment to share it with a parent or grandparent who could use the wisdom that we got to enjoy today? And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode where Lewis and I will be back to help to tackle the issue of teen mental health from a biblical worldview.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So that's going to be a big one next week coming out. But until then, keep leading the next generation to stand firm in their faith and influence the world for Christ.